Hello, welcome to. I want to say welcome to Dev Around the Sun, but this conference has been streaming for hours, so I shouldn't definitely say that. But I will be giving this talk about social distancing and I'll be giving this talk about social distancing and technology. But before I start this talk, I would want to introduce myself. So my name is Adora, and I am a software engineer at Microsoft Mixed Reality. I am also a tech I'm also a tech content creator. I put out tech content on my blog. I put out tech content on YouTube and Facebook. And the platform I used to do that is called Adora Hack. I'm also on the advisory board for VRAR Nigeria, which is an XR community under the umbrella of the Global VRAR Association. We currently know what state we are in the world at this time. If we must go out, we always have to maintain a physical distance of about, you know, a few meters from the next person because of the pandemic and trying to, curb the spread. That's one case. And the second case being, if we have the chance, we actually shouldn't go out at all. And if we can reduce the number of times people come in close contact with one another, that is one way to at least reduce the way that the virus spreads. It's called social distancing, right? But I've been reading a couple articles recently, and some people call it physical distancing, and I physical distancing as opposed to social distancing, and I agree with them because the social part of it hasn't actually been taken away if you look at it in that sense. And I'm going to be talking about what technologies actually make social distancing easier. Let's look at XR, for example. If we look at AR, VR, we look at MR, we can see that many people are going for virtual experiences these days. I mean, if you could have a party in Altspace VR, you probably would. If you could do a conference in Altspace VR, you probably would. And many people are doing that. I've seen more of Altspace VR events in this current time that I've seen since I actually knew what Altspace was. We've started using social media in ways that are so creative that we never even thought existed, that I never even thought existed. I mean, how many Instagram lives have we done? We've seen everybody show their really creative side on TikTok and Brilla. We've seen people use Twitter and Snapchat more. We've seen people use Facebook more for things that we never even thought would be possible if this time didn't actually push us to figure out what is possible and what is not. Thinking about video calls as well, a bunch of people are now doing a bunch of things on video call, communicating for like businesses, even down to like having parties. I attended a Zoom birthday party on Friday last week. So I can tell you that. And I've been attending a bunch of all these like different hangouts via video call as well. And that's one thing that people have been doing in these recent times that did not necessarily exist before. I mean, before this whole pandemic, if you had invited me for like a Zoom birthday party, I would wonder why, because you could actually throw a real party and I could drive there, right? um, Collaboration and communication, we're seeing a lot of people that have to actually collaborate remotely now use Slack and Microsoft Teams for all the things that they want to do. We've seen in different parts of the world, even before this, people have been using drones for logistics to do home deliveries. But right now, in some countries, a bunch of people are adopting this technology even more because it limits that whole physical interaction. However, there's still like some ongoing debates that says drones don't actually limit the spread of the virus. But I mean, this talk is not for that debate. But yeah, people are using drones a lot more, and that's how AI and one of the ways that we're using AI and robotics in this time as one of the tech that we're using to like stay afloat throughout this whole social distancing time. Before this whole thing happened, I wasn't actually really serious with my Netflix accounts because I was very busy. I was either always on the road or I was, actually getting work done or thinking about, how to practice my DJing or what new video to like go and record to post on YouTube. But like right now, even if I do all those things, there's still extra time that I have and I'm not doing anything. And I find myself falling back to Netflix. A bunch of people have embraced, I mean, TV is a blessing, but these other streaming services even make it, worthwhile as well. Netflix, HBO, Disney Plus, Apple TV, and a lot more of all these services that exist. Many schools have drifted to online learning because of the current situation and what is currently going on globally. So you find out that students are now learning via Zoom and any other video call platforms that exist. I mean, multiplayer games existed way before this even came up, but this is just a way now that it exists. I appreciate it more because I'm like, I actually can't be in the same space with my friend and we play like a car race game together anymore. But like with multiplayer games and being able like multiplayer games that require you to be in different locations and like remotes and then play together is just really awesome right now. We can see how technology is helping us stay together. I can't even try and imagine what my life would be in this pandemic if we did not have any form of access to technology. It would be like complete isolation. Actually, it won't be like complete isolation, it would be complete isolation. Because now where even if I am in my house, when I'm on my own, I could pick up my phone, I could make a phone call, and I could reach out to a few people. I could do like a Zoom party. If there was no technology, I would be in my house and I would be in my house all by myself, which isn't good enough, which isn't great. And I've been seeing a lot of hashtags recently, a lot of campaigns, hashtag alone together. And then you can be thinking, okay, how do we actually stay alone but stay together at the same time? And technology is the way, to do that. And I'm going to be talking about this from three perspectives. I'll be talking about it from the business perspective. I'll be talking about it from the perspective of us driving influence, as human beings. And I'll be talking about it from the perspective of us living our normal lives, our normal personal lives. So I'm going to start with the business perspective of things. The first thing I would want to say is virtual experiences. A lot of businesses now that can provide virtual experiences are currently doing that. So, I mean, from the comfort of my home now, I can go to a museum, a park, a conference, or even a concert without standing up from my couch, which necessarily did not, exist before. I mean, it did, but there are a lot of people trying to think about how they can, at least in this meantime, move their business to that direction. We can also see that many people have moved their businesses and are embracing that whole working from home model. So we see people embrace like online communication tools. We see people use a bunch of all these project management tools. We see them use Slack, we see them use Teams, Trello, we see them use a bunch of all these things now. And we see them even use all these work hour trackers to be sure that their employees work 8 hours a day. Most of all these businesses that are not tech businesses that didn't really have this remote work culture before are trying to think of a way that they can exist in this new normal, how to think of also trying to think of a way to make their businesses exist in this new normal as well. And they've like sort of adopted working from home and then remote work. We've seen a bunch of people as well. E-commerce is something that I feel is doing well this time. And I didn't want to make it two different points, so I grouped everything under e-commerce. A bunch of people doing home deliveries these days, people placing orders online, and the orders placing orders online, paying online, and your item coming to you. I mean, it's still e-commerce, right? But it's just that some of them don't have like a whole like website and everything. They don't have like a Shopify, they don't have their own personal websites. Some of these people actually sell out of Instagram, but they now are able to do that because that's the only way to still like sell their products, because they can't use their physical stores in this time anymore. So order online and they deliver to your home. Logistics industry, the whole supply chain industry as a whole, is one industry that I know is really, really, really affected by this pandemic. And they have, as a result, been having, I know that there have been a lot of supply chain like webinars and a lot of supply chain conversations about how they can like adjust to what is currently going on and how we can improve like the global supply chain and all of that. There've been a lot of all these different webinars going on. And for sure, what I know that they currently do now and how they're leveraging technology to make that industry still stay afloat, because at the end of the day, I believe that we all need them. They're using what we call third-party logistics, and how tech is helping third-party logistics is by connecting, by using technology, either an app or a website, to connect businesses with different vendors, different logistic companies that are existing and want to help these businesses just deliver their goods, as opposed to using like the normal traditional logistics way. People are also using drones for their deliveries as well. I mean, they've been doing that before now, but they're using it more now. And now I want to talk about how we are using technologies in our personal lives as well. Pretty much everything has gone virtual. Um, Kids are learning from home. I attended like a Zoom birthday party last week. People are going on virtual dates via Zoom. So I have my dinner, you have your dinner, and I have my glass of wine, you have yours. And then we are having our food, we're dining, but we're not together in the same space. People are having other different kind of virtual hangouts. People are having virtual worships. I know that every Sunday in my family now, it's like a thing. We come together in the morning and then we all stream the service, and different people are doing different things. And somehow everything in our personal lives that would have required physical interaction is somehow going virtual. And it's possible because technology made it possible. And we can see, even apart from like Zoom and all these things that we know, people are using things like house party, to throw different virtual parties. And some people even go as far as saying this party has a theme, so you have to dress like this if you're coming here. People are using WhatsApp to chat. People are using WhatsApp for video call. People are using a bunch of all this technology. And if we are thinking about using technology for influence as well, how do we currently do that? People are doing a lot of webinars, like I said. And how I tied webinars to influence is the fact that you are sharing knowledge when you do this. So people that attend these webinars, people that attend these online events that had no knowledge about a certain thing before, leave there, knowing more about the thing and wanting to even go further to learn more about it or step forward to make some kind of change. Thinking about acting virtually as well. There's this show on YouTube, which I love. It's also on TV. It's called MTV Sugar. And normally the shows are centered around, like what people are going through in life, abuse, HIV, and all these other things. But recently, they have created this thing called MTV Sugar Alone Together, where they actually act virtually. So I watched an episode, and the episode is basically I'm acting, but it's like I'm talking to somebody on the video call and the other person is acting from their own end. So nobody is like in the same space, and they found a way to make it work well. And they're doing this to like, share different perspectives, how different people in different parts of the world can deal with the virus while also raising awareness about the virus and, you know, how people are living throughout with it as well. Another thing that people are doing this time for influence, how that people are using tech this time for influence is with charity. Shout out to Angels Among Us. It is a platform built by a few Nigerian developers to actually connect Nigerians that have access to technology and can give to Nigerians that are hugely affected by this pandemic. So if you go on the website, you'll be able to like donate money, which is quite good, which is something that's really amazing, which I like. And this is one of the ways that, we are driving influence this period with technology. I've said a bunch of things about how tech is making social distancing easy for us, easy to drive influence, easy for business. But the truth is, a lot of people don't have access to all of these things that we have. So they at the end of the day, they're like presented with two extremely dangerous choices. It's either they are completely extremely isolated, or they are not isolated at all. Both of them are really dangerous because I mean, if you're not isolated at all, you could go to a place where many people are and risk getting exposed to the virus, which we don't want to be anybody's story right now. And complete isolation is not good for anybody in any way, shape, or form. Now let's look at the long-term effects of isolation. Seeing us as human beings, our systems, including like social, psychological, and biological systems, have like developed around social groups and interactions with one another. Because of this, because of how we as humans have been, wired, basically, isolation would cause like loneliness, it could cause anxiety, and it could cause depression when we're not around so many people over time, when we don't have like that whole social group, when we're not able to interact with each other. We see ourselves getting lonely, we develop like different anxiety, we have different anxiety attacks, anxiety episodes, and it could lead to depression depending on who these people are. And it has mental effects, but it also has physical effects, which are not good. It leads to depression, and it could also lead to like cognitive decline. If you're depressed, there's a chance that you probably have like heart trouble, and it also leads to like weakened immune system. And these things are not great, these things are not good, these things are terrible, these things are sad. And as a community, what can we contribute to help these people that have these problems, and what can we do for them? The first thing we can contribute is their time. The first thing we can contribute is their time, is our time rather. We have a bunch of people that we need to help. We can decide, to give back in some way that is very precious. And I'm going to use time, for example. So sometimes we could, reach out to these people that need help somehow. Reach out to them, and try to help them in some way. And time is the biggest one. And I'm going to talk about these two other points that would cover time, because at the end of the day, everything still comes back to time. And the second thing is our skill. We as engineers, we as a tech community, we have a bunch of skills, right? We can build for these people. We can build for these people. We can do things that would help these people actually experience less of a horror that they experience right now. We can use the skills that we have, to be able to do, because at the end of the day, we have all this video conferencing, we have all these really nice things, but these people don't even have access to technology to even think that video conferencing would help them. Most of all these people have things as small as some kind of feature phone, and they don't have the smartphone, they don't have access to the technology. If we could use our skills for good to build things that they can interact with, that would go a long way. Another way we can use our skill is, for example, what I talked about, right? Angels Among Us. A bunch of developers came together to build this software that different people are now using to send money to different people that are affected by the coronavirus. Another way that we can also use our time, which we are currently doing now, is doing things like this. I mean, when you think about this conference, a bunch of the organizers, a bunch of the speakers, the entire production team could be doing something else. For example, spending time with their families or maybe watching TV, but they're giving their time to people that need it. And I believe that if we all do more, if we all do more of these things, we can show that we can make that difference, and we would see how that difference would impact so many people. The final thing that we can give is our knowledge. Let's teach people any way that we can. To let's use technology. It's not just about teaching people. Let's use technology to teach people any way that we can. Let's talk about what our lives would be after this pandemic, and how we as technologists, what we can do as technologists to make that transition smoother. Let's use our knowledge for good things. Do let's do more of let's do more of sharing. Let's do more of teaching about even how some of these people that have access to technology but don't know how to use it can use it to make their own social distancing a lot easier. Let's look at, I mean, I'm going to use me as an example. Being in my house, right? My mom has access to her iPhone, and mostly what she does on it is text people. And sometimes during the day, when people aren't texting you back, you're watching TV, you're doing nothing else. And just imagine if at that time I was working as well. Now she's bored, she can't go out, she can't do anything. But if I could share with her that, oh, on your phone, you can actually do all these things, all these other things, and she's able to do a lot more with her phone, that keeps her from sitting down and staring at the ceiling and being like, you know, anxious for no reason, or not even being able to talk to anyone in one particular time. It would go a long way. So I think we should try as a community to contribute these three things: our time, our skill, and our knowledge to people around us. And also we can decide to volunteer to maybe all these online education platforms that are trying, that need maybe like volunteer teachers for students in computer science. We can do that. We can use our skill to build platforms that can connect people that don't have the ability to live well in this period to people that want to help them. We can use our skill to do that. We could use our time to organize things like this so that we can come together and talk about all these things and think about how we can help the people around us that actually need help, and not just thinking and talking about it, but also helping them. And I hope that we have seen how we can use I hope that we have seen how social distancing and technology work together. I hope that we have seen how technology is helping make social distancing a lot easier. I hope that we can see that some people that don't have, there's a chance that some people that don't have access to technology are miserable. And I hope that we can see 3 ways that we can help them. Thank you.